Welcome back to The War on Microbes, a module created by Don A. Kirkwood. As in our last segment, I'm taking you through the process of actually creating instruction in CoreTools. Our next feat that we'll be doing will be creating a mini task. Last segment, we were able to add the virus, an article, or a text that we'll be using, and we decided to use it with a close read annotation. Once I click here, I could go into my mini task and I could go ahead and start adjusting how to fit my classroom. I want to show you real quick how to use the college ready standards. All we have to do is click right here. You have a drop down box, come down to the bottom where it says anchor standards for reading, and these are the college and career readiness standards. So just click on whichever standards that align with the close reading that we're doing today. We're looking at making inferences, citing textual evidence, and drawing conclusions. So go ahead and add a couple standards that we're covering within this. We'll save that. The prompt, let's look at it. Read the assigned article. It is an article. Once allowed with a partner, read the article a second time and complete the closed reading routine steps in your notebook. Okay, so first time is going to be a cold read. Second time it's going to be a warm read. I might change this later because I'm really looking at my students to probably read the article 4 to 5 times, because each time they read it, the comprehension is getting deeper and deeper. So the scoring guide, students will complete each step of the handout. Students work in a thoughtful. Students' work is thoughtful and complete. So this is missing an L. Let's go ahead and put that L in there and save that. Here's some directions. Read the student annotation guide with the class and how to complete each step. Okay, so we'll come down here to the handouts. And the great thing about CoreTools is this is where the collaboration really starts happening. You can see where I added my handout, but let's go ahead and we're transitioning from just us in the classroom to us and other teachers. So when we create these mini tests, we want to create something that other teachers would be able to use. So anytime we're introducing a new strategy to reading, let's give them some information on how to do that. So if we open this up, we could see this is an article which actually breaks down the close reading. It tells us exactly, how to do it, how to get deeper in the text. So here's some information. So this is the first time you're using the strategy. This is something you want to do with your students. The other handout is actually the things that the guide that we want to use with the students. So when they're reading through this article, we want them to circle any words that are unfamiliar. We want to double line or highlight any statement that you feel is powerful. We want to draw a star next to important details. And we do have some visual learners, so maybe draw a picture of something you're connecting with. And then, of course, write your comment, summary, personal thoughts, connections, all that information into the margin. So we're actually creating a artifact that we could use later to write. Another great thing is another resource that you could use is the actual article on close read. This will take you through how this teacher went from just highlighting to actually close reading and talking about the difference. So just another resource for teachers to use as they are using the strategy. Like I said, this is the collaborating part. And then we got some videos on close reading. So here's one video that talks about thinking notes, which is a type of annotation. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of this. Let's go big screen.
A strategy that I find really helpful when dealing with close reading tasks is called metacognitive markers, or as a more kid-friendly term, thinking notes. So your homework was to read through and use the thinking notes. So we didn't just want highlighted text, we wanted some of those particular thinking notes for your reactions to it. So let's start with the last one there, just something that was confusing. Did anybody put down a double question mark?
The third page in the third paragraph, Z-E-I-T.
Yes. Zeitgeist.
Yes, that
right.
one.
Anybody here familiar with the term zeitgeist? What you might see in a typical text that doesn't use this is highlighting. And students might underline or they might highlight. And really, if they're not tracking their own response to the text, what they're doing is just sort of saying over and over again, this is important. So what we try to do is say, why did you pick those particular elements and what was your reaction to them?
I thought that was a good way to end his entire letter, and it was very well put and ended well.
For a student, it makes a great, helpful way of remembering over a period of time how they reacted to a text.
I was wondering when it says outsiders coming in, what was that referring to? Because it was around quotation marks, so I thought it was referring to something.
The way he put it was really interesting. He was talking about like laws that you break because of like they're not moral laws.
With this, instead of just saying, I highlighted it, I'm not sure why, I can quickly say, okay, who's got something that they thought raised an interesting question? And we can move to some really specific conversation prompts.
All right, as you can see, I mean, give some ideas how to use it in the classroom. Just like I said before, just another resource to use. And there's actually even a longer one on YouTube that you could look at.
Today we're going to be talking about annotating a text, which as you see here is a smart way to read. But first let's start talking about what we do as readers, because as readers, honestly, we're really complex and we do a lot of things. We do things like follow the plot, and we visualize, and we form opinions.
Like I said before, there's a lot of resources out there that you can use. So when creating these mini tasks, and especially if you're creating them as a group of teachers, let's add those add those resources together so that when other teachers use this, that they have something to look at, because some of us are, you know, visual learners. And then here's the actual article being annotated. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, these different skills are being used. For example, unfamiliar words. So maybe a student might say, you know, eager. I'm not really familiar with it. What's another word for eager? Excited. Down here, there is a complicated textbook. You know, you could say grade level textbook, overwhelmed, frustrated. So they're really looking at that vocabulary. What about the double lines? My naive 18-year-old mind. I mean, how many times have we really connected with something we did back when we were younger, especially when it comes to teaching others? Also looking at, you know, questions or statements in the margin. What are the right words to use? How do you transport words directly to your brain? Why use this word? You know, sometimes I was like looking at inaugural. Why would you use that word? We know it's your first college assignment, but why did the author decide to use that word? Well, if you look over here, since the word means first, we don't really want to use first twice in a sentence. I don't know. That's just me trying to really think about it. Here's a little picture that drawn in the margin. You know, we search for ways to have students comprehend what they read. This is the answer to close the gap. We want to base our assessments off a cold read, just reading the text once. If you want to cause growth, focus on hot reads, reading the text 5 times. So this really looked at what he was saying. Got to read it at least 5 times. And each time you read it, you're going to experience something new. So how do we do this? Well, maybe the first time you just cold read. Just read it all the way through. Don't do nothing. Second time, circle any words that are unfamiliar. Okay? So the second time, all you're doing is looking at unfamiliar words. You're circle them. If you think you know what they mean, you can put that definition to the side. And then we go to the third read. Now, my idea is that we switch papers. So you get a small group of 4 students. On the second one, you switch it. Give it to another student. Now, the paper that you're reading, you're going to underline or highlight any statements that you feel are powerful. So you read through it, double line at 5 times, different experiences, college and career ready. That's really important. Too vague and ambiguous for my students. So the students are starting to, decide what's powerful. And then once they finish on that third read, let's switch papers again. Give it to a new person. This time, draw stars next to important ideas. Or if you feel something is more powerful than what the previous reader underlined, write a comment to decide why you feel it's more powerful than this. So now you got students really starting to interact with the text. And that would be this segment on how to annotate.